I have 20s music playing this morning. It's still early. We haven't started official school yet for the day. We're just gathering around the breakfast table, but my husband's on a business call, so I'm waiting for him to hang up, and then we'll all eat and start our day. We take it easy on Thursdays, very easy. It's our last school day of the week. We take Fridays off. I do art, music, nature science, nature study on Thursdays, as well as our normal morning lessons in the classroom. So we have yet to make it to the breakfast table, but when we do, again, we're doing our Bible time. We are working our way through Genesis, through Psalms, through Proverbs, and through Galatians. And we read probably a chapter of Genesis, and then I mix up the Psalms and Proverbs throughout the week and a section of Galatians and chat about it every day. Then we listen to our hymn, which is still, and I'll probably switch it up next week, Because He Lives. Then we come to the classroom, of course, after we make our beds and get dressed for the day and get the kitchen situated. And we usually start with our English lessons through literature. I've shared this with you guys on the previous videos. I've got Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday school schedule already made. I'll post those videos in the link below. I also made a homeschool prep series this summer leading up to the new school year, and I was thinking about doing another homeschool video soon. Just a little bit more about the Charlotte Mason philosophy and how we approach it, because we definitely are not hardcore Charlotte Mason. I love the philosophy, but I also have children and she didn't, and so that I feel like that makes things a little easier to have grace on yourself when you see the extent of the things that she has for the children to do and learn. It's easy to teach a few kids that are not yours at school for a few hours every day versus actually live with them, see all of their flaws, and deal with all of the conflict and the trials that arise in everyday normal life of raising and training and rearing children, plus being in charge of their education. It's very different than some of the things you read in her philosophy. They're great things, and I do try to implement them, but I'm also very gracious on myself because I have two little humans in my home that I don't want to be a drill sergeant to, or overbearing to, or really rigid and fighting for this system versus fighting for joy and peace and harmony in the home, while lovingly guiding and instructing them in fundamentally the main thing that matters to me, which is for them to love Christ and to live and honor His ways versus a list of really good and good things to invest your time in, training your children with good habits and stuff. But when you don't see it developing, realizing that those are battles that you just keep on guiding, and you may never see a difference in. I mean, think about all the ways that you're just like you've always been. There are some things that are just like who we are, how we function, how we think, and you have to really fight hard to change that in a person. And then you have to question, is this even worth the battle trying to change this in a person, or should I just accept this part of who they are and celebrate it and focus on other things? It's not cut and dry like a sheet of paper may tell you. So I do love the Charlotte Mason philosophy, but I think like everything, we have to hold it very loosely and have tons of grace in ourselves and leave a lot of room for our personalities and our children's personalities and our husband's personalities and our home life and your family size, etc., etc., etc. It's not, that easy. I wish it was, but it's not. So anyway, our grammar, English lessons through literature. I'll post a link in the description box to this It is only $25. It is so worth the investment. It lasts you the entire year. It's a lesson a day, and I mean, it takes like 20 minutes per lesson. When we were in the earlier levels, like level B and C, it took even less than that. It probably took 10 to 15 minutes, but now that they're getting a little older, the lessons are a little more lengthy, but not that lengthy. It still keeps their attention, and it still includes a poem and a fable every day, and they love it. So it's really fun. Then we move on to math, which we do Matthew C, and we're still on Delta, the last 5 lessons, but I have our new workbook just arrived the day before yesterday, and so it's put away now, but we will be starting on fractions in 5 or 6 weeks. So that's gonna be fun, a new transition in math. I feel like I need to stick with this one to the end because I really want them to master what they are doing, what they've learned so far before we move on to something entirely new, which I know there will be review in that book, but I still really want to be confident that we've got it down packed before we move forward. We have been reading through just a little biography, a picture book of Chopin as our composer, just because I found this book for 75 cents at a bookstore, so I went ahead and got it, and I said this is our composer for the first few weeks of school. So we are reading about Chopin, even though it's not the time period we're studying for history. It doesn't align, but it's okay. And we're also listening to 20s music today, like I shared. It'll just be playing in the background all day on Alexa. Our artist is Rembrandt. Again, not the time period we're doing, but it's okay. They've really enjoyed this book so far. Again, I got this at that bookstore for 75 cents. Always good to have things like this in your school library because the children will just randomly look through stuff and they read on their own and learn on their own, and it just happens naturally. That's one thing in the Charlotte Mason philosophy that I adore. She says have books available at all times, and I have seen that come to truly be a fantastic word of advice. My children will, like last night, it was 7:30, and they were both like, I'm really excited to look through this book. Can we just settle in for the night? They said, I want to shower and settle in for the night because I want to look through this book. And I was like, yeah. So what that means to them is they showered, they had a bedtime snack, and they went to their beds and looked through this book that they were really excited to look through until bedtime. So that happens not by its, that happens naturally, but you have to have a plan. It has to be intentional. Obviously not in every case. And you're going to get the other side too. You may have books everywhere all the time and your kids just totally ignore them. You can't force it, but you can facilitate it. And if it happens, great. And if it doesn't, it's okay. I was not a reader as a child. I have always been a very task-oriented person. So to see my kids sitting around reading is wonderful. It's what I was hoping for, but I also am like, wow, I wasn't like that. And so was there anything wrong with me? No, I just was doing other stuff, you know? We're all so different and it's okay. And now I'm super into history and all these things that I wasn't into before. So the point is instilling the love of knowledge and the pursuit of knowledge, because then when they're older, they'll pursue their interests. You can't teach them everything now. You want to teach them the love of learning. Learning is wonderful. Learning is fun. Learning is not misery. You don't want to dread school. You want to be excited to learn something new. And that is the point of all of this, right? So composer and artist. And then our nature study, we've been reading through this. Last year we read Among the Forest People. Today we're reading Among the Meadow People. And these really are just fun stories with the characters being in this setting. And so you learn a few facts about their way of life on the meadow and about the animals. So it's kind of like nature science, but it's more fun and exciting than educational. You know, it has an educational aspect to it, but it's not necessarily like I'm going to test them on this. It's really just for their enjoyment, which is another great way to learn story form and fun. So that's our Thursday schedule. Super, super chill. We do our morning work, composer, artist, nature science. Sometimes if we run into something really neat throughout the week that is like Last week we saw a cow killer ant running across the yard. So we spent some of our time on Thursday looking up videos about cow killer ants and learning about them because we saw it and we wanted to know more. In years past, we've done a unit study on the ruby throat hummingbird migration because we go to the migration festival every year. Sadly, this year it was canceled. It actually would have been today, but it was canceled because of COVID. COVID's ruined the year, good grief. And so we didn't get to go, but we see hummingbirds in our front yard courting and zooming everywhere and filling up on the feeder, guarding it with their life because they're fattening up for their migration. So we've done some great unit studies on that. We've done so many nature studies. I can go on and on. We love it. Every time we go hiking or to a trail or just in our backyard and find something neat, we look it up and we learn about it. So books to read to kids, because right now I read my kids like Scooby-Doo. Oh girl, no Scooby-Doo. I'm sure there's a place for that, but oh no, not the superhero and wrestling books. No, I highly recommend that you would go to amblesideonline.org, and depending on how old your child is, if they're under 4, look up the year 0, and there's a book list there of all the wonderful rich classics. Like my kids grew up on Clifford and Berenstain Bears and Leo Leone books and the Francis books and Curious George and all the classics like The Little Red Hen, Puss in Boots, Three Little Kittens, fables, Aesop's fables, they love. So you want to find things that are not dumbed down, where the language is rich and they can hear good vocabulary from an early age, because as they get older, they will understand things that are far beyond their years because of the good, rich literature. Also, Robert Louis Stevenson, poetry, and oh yes, you have time, girl, you have time. Get acquainted with the classics for those ages. Picture books all the way. They will cuddle around you and just look at the books with you. It is so fun, such a delightful time to instill the love of books in your children. There's so many books, but it's hard to remember because that's like 6 years ago, but we loved Make Way for Ducklings. I don't have any of our old books, but definitely go to the Charlotte Mason website, amblesideonline.org. Look at year 0, and there will be a list of all the beautiful classic picture books for children that age. And picture books, I mean, my son is 11, and if I pull out a picture book, you know where he is? Right smack next to me still. Books bring families together. It is treasure. It is such a beautiful thing to do together, enjoy together, and instill in them at a young age. And that good vocabulary is such a good foundation. They will be easier to keep engaged if you start early. If you give them all the dumbed down stuff early, then they will always just seek entertainment and never knowledge and richness and good stories that build character, etc. So I would do poetry. Children's poems are so fun. Robert Louis Stevenson is a great one to start with. And Beatrix Potter, Peter Rabbit, all the classics, not the weird new computer animation, the beautiful old rich lovely literature with the beautiful illustrations that she painted herself with watercolors. That is the good stuff. So I can go on and on, but I am such a believer in starting them young with good literature because it will pay off. It will pay off. My kids can sit through Moby Dick audio and they understand it all and listen to it all. We just listened to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Swiss Family Robinson, the original author, the original books, unabridged, and they understood all of it. Most kids their age cannot, and it's not because they're so special and so smart. It's because I stuck with the reading from an early age and I did not let it scare me off. And you learn with them. You learn with them. It really is a discipline to read to them every day, but you've got to do it. When they were that little, we would do morning reading every morning at breakfast, every lunchtime, and then right before nap time, we would all sit up in a chair and get ready for naps. And I do like audiobooks, but I would hold off on them for a while. I like physical books with pictures when children are that young. They want to see the pictures. They talk about the pictures. They talk in. It creates such a beautiful bond between you and your children when you're looking at the same picture, talking about the picture, you're teaching them. You're showing them stuff, the sky, the clouds, the sun, the colors, the people, where they are, maps, rivers, all these things. You are talking to your children about what's in the pictures, and it sticks in here forever. My kids see books at the library that we used to read when they were little, and they're like, I remember this book. That's where the nostalgia will come from. That's where the beautiful memories will come from, more so than audiobooks. I didn't really start audiobooks till like last year when my kids were 10 and 9, because I wanted the hardcover book. The physical book is much more impactful, in my opinion. I know it's easier to do audiobooks, but Tiffany, is it wrong to let my kids in the room when I change? I have another young lady named that asks me the same question every time. I can never tell if it's a serious question or a joke, so I'm not sure if you're joking. And she words it the same way. Is it wrong to do this or that? That is between you and the Lord. I don't know if it's wrong or not. I don't, but that's because I'm trying to teach my children to give me privacy, and that if mommy's getting dressed, they need to respect and wait. But we'll talk about that in another video. So that's all we're doing today. That is our Friday schedule. I hope that's been helpful and inspiring to you guys to see how simple homeschooling can be. This is our full week. If we were to do all the work that we set out to do each week, this was a complete example of that. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That is everything on my 36-week printed out week by week curriculum from amblesideonline.org. It's a free curriculum that I print out, and I just highlight what we're gonna do, check off once it's done, and I feel like, okay, we're good. At the end of the year, if we go through all that material, I know we have completed a solid school year, and we're in a good place. So that is our school year for this term. Next term, we will be switching our timeline to ancient times for second and third term, so for the rest of the year. And we will be reading about the Greeks and the Romans and all that stuff. So I'll definitely do this again once we switch to term 2 and show you what materials we'll be using. It'll be the same exact format, just different things in the afternoon after our morning work. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much as always for your support. Thank you for watching. If you don't know, I have a donations link. If you've been led by the Lord to support or help my channel, you are welcome to make a one-time donation, or you can become a patron. I have a Patreon account. I'll post the link in the description box. You can donate as little as $1 a month. If you have been inspired by my channel, if you have been entertained by my channel, if you watch me all the time for free and want to help me with my supplemental income to help my husband, I would love to have you support us in that way. But if you can't, or if you don't feel led to by the Lord, that is fine. Your prayers are always appreciated, and your support by being a subscriber and liking my channel always helps as well. Thank you guys so much. God bless you, and have a fantastic weekend.